The rain hadn't stopped for 3 days. I was returning home after a long shift, tired and hungry, when I noticed them. Three small children sitting under a broken shelter near the roadside. Their clothes were wet, their faces pale, and their eyes empty. "Have you eaten?" I asked softly. They shook their heads. I hesitated for a moment. My wallet was almost empty. Rent was due. I hadn't even eaten properly in days. But still, I couldn't walk away. I bought them warm food with the last of my money and sat with them as they ate, watching quietly as life slowly returned to their faces. That night, I brought them home, giving them dry clothes and a safe place to sleep. Days turned into a week. I struggled, skipping my own meals, working extra hours, but I kept them safe. The children began to smile again. They laughed, played, and clung to me like I was their whole world. Then one morning, everything changed. Black cars stopped outside my small house. Men in suits stepped out, followed by a tall man with a sharp, commanding presence. His eyes scanned everything, cold, searching, until they landed on the children. "Sir," one of the guards said, "we found them." The children ran past everyone, straight to me, hugging me tightly. "Don't take us away," one of them cried. The man froze. His expression shifted for the first time, from authority to shock. "You," he said quietly, looking at me, "you took care of them." I nodded, nervous. They had no one. There was a long silence. Then something unexpected happened. The powerful CEO, feared by many, lowered his gaze slightly. "Thank you," he said. In that moment, I realized the truth. The children I had saved weren't just lost. They belonged to one of the most powerful men in the city. And somehow, my small act of kindness had changed all of our lives forever. That day, they left with him. I stood at my door, watching the black cars disappear into the distance, the sound of the children's voices slowly fading away. And just like that, my home felt empty again. Too empty. I told myself it was for the best. "They're safe now," I whispered. Days passed. I went back to my normal life. Long shifts, quiet dinners, sleepless nights. But something was different. The silence felt heavier than before. I missed them, more than I ever expected. Sometimes I would catch myself setting out extra plates or turning around expecting to hear their laughter behind me. But there was nothing, just silence. Then one evening, there was a knock on my door. I wasn't expecting anyone. When I opened it, my heart stopped. The children ran toward me instantly, wrapping their arms around me tightly. "We missed you," they cried. I dropped to my knees, holding them close, unable to say anything. Behind them stood the same man, but this time he wasn't cold. "I hope I'm not disturbing you," he said calmly. I stood up slowly, still confused. "Why are you here?" He looked at the children, then back at me. "They didn't eat," he said. "They wouldn't sleep properly either." My chest tightened. "They kept asking for you." I didn't know what to say. There was a pause, a quiet moment where everything felt still. Then he spoke again, his voice softer than before. "I came to ask you something." I looked at him. "Come with us." I froze. "What?" "They don't just need a house," he continued. "They need the person who made them feel safe when no one else could." My heart was racing. And I don't want to take them away from the only person they ran to. I looked down at the children, holding on to me, afraid to let go. Then back at him. This wasn't the life I knew. It was something completely different, something uncertain. But for the first time, I wasn't thinking about fear. I was thinking about them. "Okay," I said softly. And just like that, my lonely world began to change into something I never thought I'd have. A place where I finally belonged. Living in his world felt unreal. Everything was different. Huge rooms, quiet halls, and a life far beyond anything I had ever known. Yet somehow, the only place I felt comfortable was with the children. They stayed close to me just like before. And he stayed distant, at least in the beginning. But slowly, things began to change. I started noticing the little things, the way his voice softened when he spoke to the children, the way his eyes would linger on me for a moment longer than before, and sometimes it felt like he was holding himself back. One evening, I found him standing alone on the balcony. "You don't sleep much, do you?" I asked quietly. He glanced at me. "Neither do you." I gave a small smile. "I'm still getting used to all this." There was a brief silence. "Me too," he said. I looked at him, slightly surprised. "This feeling," he continued, his voice low, "it's new." My heart skipped, but before I could respond, "She shouldn't be here." The voice cut through the moment. I turned. A woman stood at the entrance, elegant and confident, her eyes fixed on me. "I'm his fiancée," she said calmly, "and you are?" My chest tightened. I looked at him, waiting for him to say something, but he didn't. The silence said everything. "I think you've forgotten your place," she continued. "You were only meant to take care of the children. Don't misunderstand your role." Her words hurt more than I expected. That night, I couldn't sleep. Maybe she was right. Maybe I didn't belong here. The next morning, I made my decision. I packed my things quietly. I didn't belong in this world, not in this house, not in his life. Just as I reached the door, "Where are you going?" His voice stopped me. I didn't turn around. "This isn't my place." There was a pause. Then his footsteps came closer. "You're wrong." My heart started racing. "They need you," I said softly, "and you already have someone." Someone. Another silence. Then suddenly he held my wrist and turned me toward him. "I don't love her." My breath caught. "I never did." His eyes held mine, serious and clear. "The only thing I don't understand," he said quietly, "is why I can't let you go." My heart was beating too fast. "This wasn't part of the plan," I whispered. He let out a soft breath. "Then maybe I don't want a plan anymore." And in that moment, everything changed again. After that moment, nothing felt the same. He didn't keep his distance anymore. The way he looked at me, the way he stayed close, the way his voice softened when he spoke, it was different now. And the children, they were happier than ever. For the first time, it felt like everything was falling into place. But not everyone was happy. She wasn't. I could feel it in the way she looked at me, cold, sharp, and full of something I couldn't ignore. I tried to stay away from her, tried to avoid trouble, but it didn't matter. One afternoon, the children were playing outside in the garden. I was inside arranging a few things when she walked in. "You're still here," she said calmly. I looked at her, unsure what to say. "I told you before," she continued, stepping closer. "This isn't your place." "I never wanted to take anything from you," I said quietly. She let out a small laugh. "Take," she repeated. "You already have." Her eyes darkened. "If you won't leave on your own, I'll make sure you do." Something about her voice made my chest tighten. Before I could respond, there was a scream. From outside, my heart dropped. I ran toward the garden without thinking. The children, one of them had slipped near the stairs, dangerously close to falling. "Careful," someone shouted. I rushed forward, grabbing the child just in time and pulling them back. "You're okay, I've got you," I said, holding them tightly as they cried. My hands were shaking. By the time he arrived, everything had already happened. His eyes moved from the frightened child to me, and then slowly to her. There was a long, heavy silence. "What happened?" he asked, his voice low. "She wasn't watching them properly," she said quickly. "I told you she's careless." "That's not true," one of the staff members said, hesitating but firm. "We saw everything." The air changed instantly. For the first time, she looked nervous. "You're lying," she snapped. But it was too late. His expression hardened. "You put them in danger," he said, his voice cold in a way I hadn't heard before. "I did it for you," she replied, her voice shaking slightly. "There is no us," he said. The words fell like a final answer. She froze. And just like that, it was over. Silence filled the space again. The child in my arms held on to me tightly. "Don't go," they whispered. My heart ached. I looked up at him. This time, there was no hesitation in his eyes. "You're not going anywhere," he said firmly. I didn't say anything, but for the first time, I believed it. Because after everything that happened, I finally understood. I didn't just save them. I wasn't just a stranger in this house. I was part of their world now, and maybe they were part of mine too. After that day, things became quiet again. The house felt peaceful. The children laughed like nothing had ever happened. And for the first time, I allowed myself to believe that maybe this was where I belonged. Days passed. Everything felt normal, almost too normal. Then, one evening, something changed. A stranger arrived. "I need to speak with you,"
he said, his voice serious. I looked at him, confused. "Do I know you?" He didn't answer right away. Instead, he handed a file to him. "You should read this," he said. The room fell silent. I watched as he opened it. His expression slowly changed, from calm to disbelief. "This isn't possible," he said quietly. My heart started racing. "What is it?" I asked. There was a pause. Then he looked at me. "The children," he said slowly. My chest tightened. "They're not just connected to me." Silence filled the room. "They're connected to you." I froze. "What?" I whispered. The stranger stepped forward. "Years ago, there was an accident," he said. "You lost your memories." My hands started to shake. "No, that's not true." But something deep inside me felt different. "You had a life before this," he continued. "A family, a past you don't remember." Tears filled my eyes. "The children," he said softly, "are yours." My world stopped. Fragments of something distant, flashed in my mind. Laughter, voices, small hands holding mine. I stepped back, trying to breathe. He caught me before I could fall. "Why didn't you tell me?" I asked, my voice breaking. "I didn't know," he said quietly. "Not until now." Everything started to make sense. Why they held me so tightly. Why I couldn't walk away. Why it always felt like I already belonged to them. I looked at the children. They were watching me, smiling, like they had always known. Tears rolled down my face, and in that moment, I understood the truth. I didn't just save them, I found my way back to them. And maybe this wasn't the end of my story. Maybe it was where everything truly began.